Hey guys, I'm going to talk about what life is like after foster care. Let's see, I think I went into foster care when I was 14 years old, and I believe I left when I was 16, almost 17 years old. And, you know, it was really hard. I always wanted to go back with my mom, but she kept fucking up on drugs and stuff, so I really couldn't. And, you know, I held on to that hope that I'd be able to go back with her, and eventually I did. And, well, it wasn't everything that I thought it would be, but when I was in foster care, I was thrown between homes. If you're not like this perfect cookie cutter person who's ready to go with the exact program, then they just throw you around. It feels like you go from foster home to foster home, and I just wasn't really good at being told exactly how things are going to be. And I mean, I grew up having to raise my siblings and all of that. I was usually the one, you know, doing the things. Like, so it was very weird for me growing up that way. And then being put in a foster home where people just, tell you this is how things are going to be. And another thing that was really hard for me actually is how much that, like, I was always like, I was so used to doing everything that it felt weird to have them, like, give me dinner or something like that. And I left my home, my town, when I was 17 years old. I didn't tell anyone, and I came all over the way over here to Virginia, which I honestly don't regret. It's been an interesting experience, but one thing I can say about life after foster care is that, you know, it gets really lonely. You don't know where you belong. You don't Not all of us really have the best support system to not feel alone. There's lots of people I know who have it really bad, like kids who stayed in the system until they were 21, and then as soon as they turn 21, the foster parents just throw them out, and they have nowhere to go. They don't really have any family. I had a few friends who that happened to, and that really scared me. And honestly, it's part of why I fought so hard to live with my mom instead of staying in foster care. And I didn't trust them. They were one thing that's really hard that I think a lot of foster kids can admit is that there's so many different people telling you so many different things that you just don't even know what to believe anymore. And sometimes things happen and people will say, "Oh, we didn't know that that was going to happen," and that's all they really say. And all it really does to us is that it really makes us just not trust anyone. And yeah, I knew a lot of foster kids who just kind of gave up and stopped trying, and that made me really sad. I've wanted to give up before, but I just haven't. There's something in me that's just a survivor. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. There was one foster family. Well, they were a Proctor family. For those of you who don't know what a Proctor family is, it's basically like foster care, but for more troubled kids. After um, I wanted to kill myself, they put me in a Proctor home, and the Proctor parents were one of the nicest people I'd ever met, way nicer than foster parents, which is kind of weird when you think about it because, you know, foster parents usually are taking in kids and stuff, and I just, I know, I just thought to myself that a foster parent would be a nicer one because they're taking in kids and stuff, but I was there for about a year. It it was definitely my nicest foster home ever. Like I loved it there. They were both really nice. They said if I needed to talk to someone, I could talk to them. I There's one thing that really was hard, as I used to do youth council, and that's when we come up with ideas of what to tell the legislators to make foster care easier for kids and stuff. And we did the TAL program, which got kids together to do activities, learn uh, skills and stuff like that. But like it was so hard to get kids to come. I tried and tried and tried until there was no. They had to shut the programs down. So And this makes me think it must be so much harder for foster kids now, because I remember those two things were one of the things that made me feel not so alone. And I really think that those programs help kids, especially those ones who are older like me, when they're going, trying to figure out their life. These skill classes really help. Like, and I know it taught me a lot about on how to live on my own that I just never knew because I wasn't taught. Like, they don't really teach you stuff like that in foster homes or proctor homes. It's kind of, it's like, these are the rules of the house. You're going to be staying here. Do you agree to the rules? And that's basically about it. They don't necessarily raise you like that. Like, when you go to a foster or proctor home, they're not raising you. They're just there to help take care of you. Like, so those classes I feel like are really, really necessary for kids like us. But I just don't want any other foster kids to ever feel alone. You're not alone. You're never alone, even though it feels that way. I'm here for anyone who needs anything. I don't want anyone to feel alone like I did. It takes you to a very dark place. I don't want anyone to ever feel that way. And I didn't get along with lots of my foster parents, and I'm sure there's kids out there who don't. There's just some kids who don't adjust as well. I mean, especially at how late of an age I was brought in. I did hear from other caseworkers and stuff like that that it's a lot harder to to bring the older kids in. It's really easy when you bring young kids into foster home and the dynamic kind of works. They say once you reach the age of 12 or 13, I'm not sure, I don't remember which one it was. They say something goes in your brain where it doesn't like absorb information like a sponge. You've already really decided the type of person you're gonna be, like your values, stuff like that. And I can attest to that. Like, I was still figuring myself out, but I knew exactly what I didn't want to be. Like, I don't really feel like I knew exactly who I wanted to be, but I knew who I didn't want to be. And one thing, well, I lived in Utah, so the that's probably why this happened to me. But I was put with a Mormon foster family, and that was really hard, just because you know we just didn't see eye to eye. We didn't get along. They didn't agree with the fact that I was bisexual. When they found out, they're like, "Oh, we don't agree with it," and I'm just like, "I don't care. This is who I am. Like, you can't tell me. You can't. What do you want me to do? Not be who I am for your comfort? I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do." And that got me into a lot of trouble with them. And then one time I called the suicide prevention hotline, and they ended up taking me to the hospital. And that's when I went to a hospital, then a group home. But like, wait, no, the group home was a different time. Sorry, it was just the hospital that time. And you know, my caseworker told me to call the number if I need someone to talk to, so that's what I did. So I do feel like they overreacted with that, but whatever. I just don't think they were good foster parents. Like, my first foster parents were really just assholes, and um, maybe they didn't feel like they were assholes, but I feel like they did. We just didn't get along, and now I'm just navigating through life by myself. I don't really talk to my siblings anymore. Definitely one thing about leaving foster care is you feel everything feels so distant. You feel really alone. You don't have that family support system really. It makes you feel like wanted and appreciated. I'm grateful that I have a few amazing people who make me not feel so alone anymore. None of you should feel alone because you're not. I care about you. I care about your emotions. I care about your thoughts. All of you are amazing people, and you're gonna get through this hard time. This isn't gonna last forever. Life is hard a lot, but there are gifts. There are things that happen that make all the pain, all the bullshit worthwhile. And I just think that's really important for people to know, especially people in foster care or people who are in trapped situations. I care about you all, and I really hope you have an amazing night.